What's up, Pirates? Wraith here with AwakenedTCG, and today we have some OP07 information post ban. So these are the first tournaments that are coming out since the banning of Sakazuki. They banned Reject, they banned Great Eruption, no more. And so we have a brand new meta for OP07 in the East. It's been having changes because of that, and so we're about to get into those, and we're gonna look at some of that data right now.
So right here, the immediate effects, this is the 1st of April through the 3rd of April. So we have 3 days of tournament results. And this is every match that was played and recorded. So this is just an overall leader breakdown. It's going to be 1,000 games with Enel on number one, which I think is no surprise. I know it's been debatably the best deck, so now that Sokka's gone, I think people are thinking it's probably number one right now. So I think that's why it's showing as the most. And then next up here, we've got Moria at number two. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised there, but I guess he's kind of like Sakazuki Jr. in a way. If you can't play Sokka, you're probably next best bet is going to be Moria. So I'm assuming that's why Moria is the second most played.
Yeah, I think it's because it's the closest thing you can get to how OP06 meta is, like with Sakazuki and Moria just being like so, overwhelmingly powerful with like cost Moria and then just having these crazy combos. I think, teching in a few different cards that we're seeing in some of the new lists, like Isho, allows you to replace that Great Eruption card. And so this is probably the closest thing you can get to that same feel that these decks had in previous sets.
Mm-hmm. And then right behind Moria is going to be 782 games of Red and Purple Law. So another leader that people are pretty sold is top three. This leader is an absolute menace. The support it's gotten throughout EV up to OP07 has made this leader the best aggro deck in the game. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it does falter against Enel, which is, I think, one of its worst matchups.
Yeah, so while these, some of these decks can be really, really powerful, we're in a time where, you kind of have to, roll the dice on how your rounds end up because there are certain decks that just have great, great matchups into others. So like the top decks will have, a 60% matchup spread that's good, but then that 30%, I feel like this is our true rock, paper, scissors meta without one color dominating right now, which is very healthy in my opinion. So the meta is going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. And then let's just quickly mention the next three. We've got Black Yellow Luffy, which I know a lot of people have also said is probably top three. Followed by Green Bonnie, which I think since the Sokka ban is a lot better. We'll see when we get into the actual win rates how well it's doing. But it is a very represented deck. Followed by Black Lucci, which I think is arguably the best black deck next to Moria. I think it's a toss-up, but clearly people think Moria is probably better, judging by how many people play it. And then followed by Boa Hancock Blue, which is actually for a deck that I don't think really belongs with the Titans in front of it. That's kind of a lot of players playing it. So really interesting spread here now that Sakazuki's gone. But let's look at the win rates and let's see what's actually winning despite all of these numbers.
Here we go. Here are some of the win rates. Obviously, the standout one at the very front, Zoro Sanji. There's only 31 out of those thousands of decks on Zoro Sanji. So this one number here is very skewed, and same thing with the Purple Luffy. So these are definitely, very one-sided bar graphs because they should not be up there.
There's low sample size.
Yeah, very low sample size. I think once from Bonnie down, we can actually take a look at some of these win rates because there's actually enough people playing these decks to warrant a accurate number. So yeah, Bonnie over 50%, almost 55%, which is pretty insane for the amount of decks, for the amount of people playing that deck. I think this is probably its strongest point. It has been in OP07 is as soon as that ban hit, Sakazuki having a great matchup into Bonnie, now completely removing that matchup makes this deck a very solid pick.
Yep. Right behind going to be Red Purple Law with a 300 more games than Bonnie and still hanging in the above 50% win rate. This one, I think, that's about 52, 53, which is really high. This deck is really strong despite all the NL. So I'm I'm not surprised. This deck is like insane, but I guess either NL is not as bad of a matchup that I thought it was, or this deck is really just that insane with Sokka out of the meta.
Yeah, I think this is one of those decks that I'm really gonna try to play and see what I can do. Next up, we have Lucci. So, Lucci, I haven't tested too much, but obviously a slightly better win rate than Moria, probably very close to even there. But I think both of these, black decks are in the same category. I think they're both amazing decks and can really, really shut down other leaders in OP07. So I'm excited for black to continue being consistent and try a new leader that's not Moria out for this color. So I'm very excited.
Pretty similar numbers there. You honestly could pick your poison at that point. I think they have a little bit different play styles, so whichever one you prefer, you can go for Mori, you can go for Lucci. They're probably both great options.
Mm.
And then following that, the only other deck that is above a 50% win rate is going to be Purple Yellow Croc. So I have not seen much of this deck in OP07. I know people were talking about it a ton in EB when it got all the new cards and buffed the deck a whole lot. I haven't seen a lot in O7, but apparently, according to this, it is not too bad. And it does have a total of 36 games. So again, pretty low sample size, but the fact that it's over 50% could mean this deck's not too bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we have Rebecca and Queen just shy of that 50% mark. Two decks that, over the sets are slowly getting some good support, but can actually have an impact on this meta. I think there's enough cards for those decks to steal games, especially now with so many leaders being present, so many leaders having the opportunity to create these new decks, these new metas. Like, you can really join a tournament and craft a deck with an old leader with some new support that someone's never tried before, because it's possible, and it's going to happen more often, where you can steal a top placing just because people don't know how to play against that deck because it's so new, it's so fresh. And especially now with those bans, like there's metas that are completely different because they don't have to worry about the best deck in the game. They don't have to tech at all for that. And so, you can switch lists around. And so the OP07 meta right now is, it's evolving, and it's going to continue to evolve. So these numbers might not even stay like this. These are very changeable numbers for the future. But yeah, I think on this list here, the only other one we really care about, honestly, is Anel. Having the most played leaders, most played in general, over 1,000, right? It was 1,089 decks, so 17%, taking up the biggest chunk of amount of people playing it. And so that also might be why it's a little lower than probably 50. Just there's so many people. It could be a lot of good and a lot of bad players. But yeah, I think the meta is in an insane spot right now. And the only thing I wish for is just a global release. I think that would just fix all the problems.
That looks like there's a lot of viable stuff right now, though, from the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
NL being top played, but a little under 50. Basically 50. You can just call it even. Like, if you're a good NL player, I'm sure your win rate is going to be a lot higher than 50%, compared to the other lower tier NL players. And then I think that's really all we want to talk about as far as the win rates go.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, we're going to be going over today, which is the 6th of April. This is how many wins these leaders got today, because flagship tournaments are usually ran on the weekends, I'm pretty sure. So these are flagship results, and these are how many wins the leaders got today. So by far, standout winner, 15 different law players won flagships. So take that, take it what you will. I wouldn't say Law's top one, but it's definitely in contention. I don't think there's any doubt that it's at least top 3 for sure right now.
Yeah, I think you can say that definitively. This deck is insane in OP07, and so people that are on 06 right now playing it, the deck is a little rough to play, but it gets better in EB01 and even better in OP07. So stick it through. Learn those lines, master the deck beforehand, and you'll have a great advantage. And then obviously after RP Law, we have Anel with 9 Anel sharing that slot with Moria and Bonnie and Lucci, I guess. Those aren't too far apart. I think the biggest difference is that definitely that 15 down to that 9. And then we have these 4 decks that are also considered to be the top the top tier, right? Lucci, Moria, and kind of that same slot in black. And then we have Bonnie and Anel, which are also a part of that top 3 conversation, having the most wins. I think, we're having a good amount of variety in terms of winning leaders. So yeah, I like this evolving meta.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty healthy. Bit of a rock, paper, scissors meta, as you said, but there's nothing really wrong with that, despite the fact that depending on the deck you're playing, yeah, there's going to be a matchup that's pretty much unwinnable sometimes, but that's kind of just what happens in a meta with so many different leaders to play. Definitely better than a meta like with just 2 of the best leaders that kind of just dominate, I would say, because you can play Law viable, NL viable, Moria Lucci viable, Bonnie viable, even Black Yellow Luffy's viable.
Yeah.
And I'd say the majority, like the Boa, the Vivi, the Nami, Kata, all the ones there that have 1 win each, like that proves you can win a flagship. And they're definitely probably in like the tier 2 area. So pretty healthy meta right now, guys. I think the Sokka ban did wonders. Definitely allowed decks like Bonnie, I think, to shine a little bit more. That struggled with the matchup. And I'm really looking forward to it because unlike Japan, we don't have to deal with Sokka for the first month. As soon as we get OP07, he is gone right away.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best part. At least we get the ban instantly while they had to, endure another month of just Sakazuki dominating a crazy amount. So, we're moving in the right direction. I think, everything we've been seeing so far has been really, really great. We saw a lot of leaders being used and a lot of leaders winning with those. So it's a nice, pace changer. No more Sakazuki dominating. It used to be just Sakazuki and Anel, but now even Anel has faltered a little bit with that reject ban. So I think it's very healthy for what they chose to ban. So we're going to see this meta continue to develop. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy, this OP07 breakdown so you guys can kind of visually see what's going to be good for our meta. So a lot of good information here. If you haven't already, make sure to go follow OP Hirata. Makes these fantastic graphs and visuals for us every single time, always killing it. So shout out to him. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Make sure to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to our channel. We have our giveaway link down in the bio. Make sure to go ahead and click that link. We started a Patreon. Make sure to go subscribe to our Patreon if you want to see videos like me versus your favorite top players, content creators. We did Vampire Gaming last week. This week coming up, I have a set with Jonas Abraham, the national winner, the North American national winner. I have a set with him coming out this weekend for our Patreon. And some insane games, Sakazuki versus Moria, something you'll see at a finals of a big event. So you guys make sure to check that out. There are the links down in the description. And with that being said, you guys have a good one. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.